Welcome back. Around the country, those who live on Indian reservations are struggling in so many aspects of life. Nowhere is this more true than on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. It's in South Dakota, and there alcoholism, unemployment, and poor housing are only a few of the issues that their residents are dealing with.
Do you want to know why? Pine Ridge is the home of Wounded Knee.
As Bigfoot's people gathered around the flag of truce outside his tent, 4 powerful Hotchkiss rapid-repeating guns were mounted above the camp.
I noticed that they were erecting cannons up here, also hauling up quite a lot of ammunition for it.
They encircled us like a band of sheep.
I could see that there was commotion amongst the soldiers, and I saw, on looking back, they had their guns in position, ready to fire.
Thomas Tibbles, a white reporter who followed the troops to Wounded Knee, recorded what happened next.
Suddenly I heard a single shot from the direction of the troops. Then 3 or 4, a few more, and immediately a volley. At once came a general rattle of rifle firing, then the Hotchkiss guns.
An awful noise was heard, and I was paralyzed for a time. Then my head cleared, and I saw nearly all the people on the ground, bleeding. My father, my mother, my grandmother, my older brother, and my younger brother were all killed.
You see, Wounded Knee is only one of the traumatic events that has had a lasting effect on our people. This is my story. I really never considered how lucky I was to be here, but when you look at the stats, you really begin to realize how lucky you are to be here. 1 in every 4 Aboriginal youth considers suicide. 80% of our people did not survive the initial stages of colonization. I realize my story is not unique. I realize you too share my story. We have lost far too many of our people. Sadly enough, I realize we will continue to lose more. You see, I too was filled with hurt, anger, and rage, too full to realize how lucky I was to be here. You see, it wasn't until we began to share our stories that I began to realize just how lucky I was to be here. How fortunate I was to make it, for not that many of us do. I began to see, I began to feel how important it is for us to share our stories. I realize we share a common vision, a common story, a common hope for the future, for our youth, and for our people. This is our path of healing, from a culture once so rich in spirituality and a relationship to the land, to a struggle surviving the effects of colonization. Like an organism tied to Mother Earth, we feel each other's pain. We feel her pain. This is our suffering. This is my story. This is my transformation. I will not allow the anger to consume me. I will not allow the hurt to consume my children. Did you know that Aboriginal people only represent 2.7% of the adult population in Canada, but we represent 18% of the prison system? We have lower life expectancies and are more likely to die violent deaths. Our suicide rate is 5 times as high in our young boys and 8 times as high in our young girls. We have already lost too many, and I will do everything in my power to see that we don't lose any more. This is my story. I am a survivor of domestic, systemic, and lateral violence. All my life I was determined never to become a victim. So determined, in fact, I never seen what was going on.
Why don't you people just get over it?
Why don't you people just get over it?
Why don't you people just get over it?
We can't just get over it. This story needs to be talked about. It's a vicious cycle, one that just doesn't go away. It has resulted in the loss of many of our people, wandering in concrete villages, struggling with addictions, and many more of our young people left on reserves, full of hopelessness and despair. This is not a stagnant situation. This is not just about the past. This struggle is very present. This struggle is very real. And we as Aboriginal people need to stand together and heal. This is our voice. This is our story. No more shame. Time to put an end to lateral and systemic violence.